what's so cool about that is that the power from your alternator, you're essentially sharing it between your car battery and your off-grid battery, and it's perfect. Oh man, it's kind of gross and dirty in here. Want to work with me? Oh, we got a solid blue light. I think that's a good sign. And da-da-da, we got the on-off. It's working! All right, I'm gonna start up the engine, and as I do, we're gonna be able to watch it on the software and see that it's actually kicking in and powering up to the DC-DC charger. Hey guys, welcome back. So we wanted to have 3 power sources for our van. We're gonna have solar, shore power, and now DC to DC charger. And what's so cool about that is that the power from your alternator, you're essentially sharing it between your car battery and your off-grid battery. And it's perfect for van lifers because as you're traveling around to the next destination, you get to charge up your batteries. How cool is that? So let's install that today. Oh man, it's kind of gross and dirty in here. But first step we're going to do is look at taking off this panel here. Because we want to run that wire down underneath here and into the panel. This is going to be the panel that covers the battery. This is going to be the first time I've even looked at it, so you're going to come with me. So I just have a Phillips head screwdriver, and that's going to come in here and unscrew all of these. So let's go ahead and do that. And I came up here, and these are a little bit different. So basically I just had to use my flathead part of my screwdriver, and there's a little divot in the top, and you just kind of pop it out. Okay, so that gets popped out, and once you pop that out, then you'll find there's another screw on the bottom, which is another Phillips head screw. So okay, so now I've got those off, so I should be able to take off the bottom part. Oh, come on now. You know you want to. So right here, I'm just making sure that the battery cable is removed and completely out of the way. You don't want any power coming through while you're working on connecting everything. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys how this guy comes off, and it's really pretty easy. There's a couple clips right here. It was a little tricky the first time to pop it off, but you just gotta pull a little bit. Nice and easy, pops right off right there. Try to give you some light. Hopefully you can see down in there. So the positive terminal of the battery is right down there. Let me get my wrench. Requires a 10mm wrench again to take the nut off of this positive terminal of the battery. And then we're going to take these. There's this little red doohickey here. Pretty sure doohickey is the correct technical term. Okay, so now I think a little bit. Oh yeah, there it is. So now I just want to try. It's a square head bolt, but I think it may be supposed to be an inch long. It's a 5/16 bolt, square head, hence the name. But I saw somewhere it's supposed to be an inch. This is clearly more than an inch, probably 2. But I just want to see if it'll go up through here, because I think it goes up through the bottom. Oh, I see why. It goes right up in that little hole. And if it was a circle, it would come all the way through the hole. So it needs to be a square for that reason. Okay. So we'll see if that's going to work or not. I think not. I think it's going to be a little long. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to the auto parts store probably tomorrow and see if I can't get something very similar to this, but just a little bit shorter. Okay. More to come. Okay, so after a couple of other trips for another nut, etc., I just want to show you how I got this set up. I'm not going to show you how I took the wires apart and put the connectors on and do all that because you've seen me do that before. But I'm back over, so these wires that I have coming, feeding through the back, they're my 6 gauge, red and black. You can see them inside of here, okay? I just put them inside of this loom, split loom tubing, and I really like this one actually, it's nice. You can also do a split loom tubing that's like this hard plastic. So I've got the 6 gauge wires, and I'm running them. I took everything off the front here, as you saw before, and I ran it back in through here under the seat. Not exactly under the seat, but kind of in between. Okay, you're gonna see how that's gonna go through. But then it comes up underneath here, and there's a nice spot where I could slide it under and it comes through. So it's gonna split because the red is gonna be short and go right here. The black is gonna be longer, so you just have both pieces come out long and just cut the red short. Okay, so the black's gonna come all the way over here and be on my negative post, okay? So definitely you wanna make sure that this comes off the battery cable and is completely pulled away, like I said before, so you don't have any power coming through there. So actually I could put this back down now. So that black is done. What I did here too is it was kind of rubbing up against this metal piece. So I did get a piece of that split loom tubing, that hard stuff, and it's cut. So all I did was just open it up and I put it around the thing. Okay, so that makes it real easy, and it's just protecting that little spot. And then the red, I kind of had to finagle a little bit. So this guy I took off of, this was already here on this fuse, so I just took it off to move it out of the way. And then I ended up taking my red, which is here, going underneath a couple of wires and having it come around. I don't love that it's on top of these screws, but I don't think it gets hot or anything, so I think it should be okay. I'll double check that with an electrician. And then, yeah, so now it's not kinked or anything, and it's nicely sitting on top of there. So I screwed these back down. Everything's back where it should be, and then all I need to do is just putting this case back on, and then I'll put the whole cover back on, and then I will be moving back to doing the rest of it and the other side, and I'll let you know how that goes. All right, so I got everything all tidied up and put back together again, put all the pieces down. One thing I will tell you is to make sure that you know what order you took these things off, because they do have to go back in the right order because pieces overlap. Okay, so let me show you what I did here. I took this piece off, and because I ran this wire underneath that spot where I showed you before, I took a jigsaw. You can't even see it because it's so tight, but I made a little half circle on this part here, and then again over here. Wasn't really pretty, but you can't really see it. So I can slide that through there, and by the time we get our flooring on, then the wiring won't be in the way. It's tucked out of the way and looks nice. So I've got this running along the bottom here. I don't have the aluminum across the whole thing, but, and then that's going into our little mouse hole here, into our plumbing side. I'm gonna run that through. We've got another little mouse hole here again on both sides to go between the plumbing side and the electric side. That's running in here, and then these pieces go to the DC to DC charger, which is not quite long enough. Dang it, it's always something. So I need to get about 10 more inches of 6 gauge wire, and then we'll be able to stick them right in there and hopefully get that going and have our DC alternator power source. All right, we are almost there with the DC charger, and I've put in the input, and I'll show you that. And the really cool thing was the light on it started blinking. So it said the Bluetooth was ready. I updated the firmware on the app on my phone. So now all I should have to do is put in the output cables and then put the little green thing in there, which will start it up, and fingers crossed, it's gonna work. So I'll show you how that is set up.
So I got a butt connector for a 6 gauge, and sorry I've already covered it up, but it's basically a little, it's called a butt connector. It's a little tube. You cut back the sheath of the wire like we did with the other connectors, and then put them both in there, crimp it, and I didn't put a heat sheath on at the right time, so heat shrink. So I just ended up, excuse me, wrapping it with electrical tape. So I did that with both of those. I made this a little bit longer because I'm not exactly sure where I want to put this. The DC charger is here. I didn't really like having it go over the batteries. There's just, it all looks like a big mess right now. So I just cut it so that there's extra length here. And if we want to end up making it shorter a different way, then that's fine. So the first step was to put in, actually first step is to take out the little green guy that goes in there. And it will say all this in your manual as well. So I've already, as you know, wired to the car battery, the band battery. Okay, so you'll see that it comes with this little green guy. And what that does is that it makes everything work, but it's going to be the last step. So you take it out, you put in the inputs, okay, and that's what came from the van battery, which we've already gone through. Next step will be to put the outputs back through, and I've already had all that wired up. So I've got my positive one here. When I took it out after I read the directions that I shouldn't have these in first, I just covered them with some electrical tape, the wires, since they were exposed, just to be safe. So I'm going to take this off, stick it in there, screw it down, and have the outputs in. After that, I will put this little green guy back in, and I should be able to see it on my Victron app. And it should work. All right, got all the wires in for the DC charger, input, output, and now it's just pushing the little green guy in. Oh, we got a solid blue light. I think that's a good sign. And da-da-da, we got the on-off. It's working. Yes. So the blue light is just for the Bluetooth. But the green one, now it's on. So I think the final test is to drive it and then look at the app and make sure that it's changing, that it's actually doing its job and charging. Okay guys, now time for the final test. We are going to start the engine and make sure that it starts powering up on our new charger. All right, I'm gonna start up the engine, and as I do, we're gonna be able to watch it on the software and see that it's actually kicking in and powering up to the DC charger. All right, so let's go into my phone, turn on the Victron Connect app, and there it is, the Orion Smart. Connecting, yes. Okay, and that's because the engine is off, so that's why it says off. So let's turn it on. And I think we have to give it a minute to do its thing. Oh, there we go, bulk charge, yes. 13.3. And it's moving, look at those numbers. Yes, yes, yes. Excellent, this is gonna be so awesome. If we're running a little bit low, it's a cloudy day, we don't have solar. All you gotta do is turn the engine on. You don't have to go anywhere. You can just turn the engine on and it will actually start to charge your batteries for you. Yes, excellent. I highly recommend having this source of power, especially if you may not be close to source power. Awesome. So happy. Well, that's a wrap, guys, for today. Hey, how is your van build going? Let us know in the comments below. While you're there, hit the subscribe button and come along for our journey. Take care, guys, and we'll see you the next time.